Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing on this fine morning?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
We have the CEO of our company joining us today. Please welcome Mr. Raziq.
Morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Morning, everyone.
Sir.
It will be my pleasure to introduce to you, sir, our noble leaders. First, my name is Min, and I'm the Human Resource Manager. This is Farhan, the Operational Manager. Miss Sophie, being our Finance Manager, Facilities and Maintenance Manager, will be none other than Miss Anis. And not to forget our very own IT Manager, Mr. Salam. Since everyone is here, I would like to thank all of you for attending this meeting on such short notice. We have a lot to cover today, so without further ado, let's begin. As the chairperson of this meeting, let me clarify of today's agenda. News was brought to the Human Resource Department. We were told that some of the staff has been running side businesses during office hours. And then apparently they've been using company facilities for their own personal use, the laptops and the printers as well. On top of that, taking off some time from working hours to meet with their customers of their side businesses. But the real issue here is their work productivity has been decreasing because of it. That's why we're all here to discuss the root to this matter. I would like to open the floor to anyone, absolutely anyone, to give a suggestion.
Do you guys think those employees are aware of their actions? Because perhaps they are unaware of the do's and don'ts of the company. I think we should remind them again about our policies and rules. I think general notice sent to everyone via email is like a good way to inform them all. All our employees regularly check their emails and it is accessible for all of them. As the IT manager, I think it will be my responsibility to carry out this task, and I can send an email to every employee within the company to notify them about the misconduct and what are the expected behavior when working in our company.
To add to the previous suggestion, as mentioned by you, Mr. Salam, I think it's best we be proactive and reactive to our problems. We shall run an investigation to find the culprits behind this act. We then distribute show cause letters and give them a duration of exactly 1 week for them to submit it back to the Human Resource Department. The reason why I think choosing this approach would be appropriate is because to immediately fire these employees would be absolutely ludicrous. As a matter of fact, it is both time-consuming and cost-consuming to hire new people. So let's say if one were to obtain three strikes, then we have no choice but to terminate their employment.
I see both of your views, Mr. Salam and Ms. Soraya. I understand that we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to misconduct in the office. However, I don't think having just a general notice would be enough to resolve this issue. You know, if we were to do that by giving a general notice to everyone within the company, don't you think that in a way we are punishing the good employees as well, who are totally innocent in this situation? I think this might give like a bad perception of us being negligent on our side, and I think it might cause some friction and resentment within the good employees, because you know they're not misusing the facilities, they're not doing outside work. So why are they also getting this general notice? We don't want to punish them as well. I think most importantly, we still need to address the perpetrators specifically about their actions. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a public name and shame, but maybe like a private meeting would be adequate. We have to treat our employees with respect and dignity if we were to demand the same from them.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to say, Mr. Raziq, and I think it's completely true. Because like a general notice might feel like the culprit might feel like, oh, you're not addressing them, so they're not gonna confess about their wrongdoing. And so I really like your idea about personally approaching them and addressing the perpetrator, which will also avoid the act of condoning.
I would like to add to your point there, sir. It would be necessary for us to perhaps have frequent assemblies solely dedicated for jogging the memory of our workers regarding something that we don't really look upon frequently, which is the employee handbook. Basically, to remind them of the ethics, the terms, and the conditions for working in our organization. Perhaps to have it as often as maybe once per 2 months, yeah? Make it a compulsory meeting for everyone to attend, from the higher ups down to the clerks. And then the people who will be responsible for leading these briefings will be managers, also maybe the heads of departments. This way, it will give the culprits no excuse if they were to say they were unaware or not informed of this particular code of conduct.
I think we don't have to make it as frequent as once every 2 months. I suggest we do it only ad hoc or when necessary. If there are no cases of misconduct, we don't have to trouble anyone with an unnecessary assembly. Plus, it will take company time that could be used to do something better.
We can still move on with the general notice and assembly, but not as regularly as our HR manager, Ms. Minsuraya, has presented.
Just to recap back, we are doing a combination of a general notice and most importantly, a private meeting with the irresponsible employees. Assemblies will only be done ad hoc.
I would also like to give a suggestion. Like, why don't we decide to impose financial punishment on the staff? This punishment could make them feel some degree of remorse towards the offense committed.
But Miss Sophie, maybe a financial punishment is a little too harsh for our employees. Maybe we're trying to run an organization here, not handle criminal.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. Well, how about a pay cut? It would be a more subtle strategy on teaching them a lesson. We should enforce cutting off salary for the month if they perform any sort of violation of the employee handbook.
I'm sorry to say, Miss Sophie, but I don't really agree on you with that because I feel like you need to differentiate between work performance and disciplinary action. Financial punishment or pay cut, as you all know, is meant to address work performance. And I think in this case, misusing the printers and the computers is just a behavioral issue which we don't need to involve salary. But we can still take action in the form of verbal warning or a permanent written warning. As I said before, we cannot just simply cut an employee's salary as it carries legal implications, which I know we all don't want to happen.
Perhaps the suggestions by our finance manager, Ms. Sophie, maybe perhaps it has a negative tone to it. How about instead of a negative reinforcement, we turn it into positive reinforcement? What do you think about that?
I see your point there, Mr. Raziq. If you are talking about positive reinforcements, we could reward them with additional remuneration, such as incentive bonus at the end of the year.
Right.
Maybe we can provide them with a certain amount of work, followed with the desired KPI, so that they will become more occupied and motivated to do office work. And this way, I hope we can abate or hinder the usage of office facilities for personal business.
Okay, if you're doing positive reinforcement such as this, I'm on board with the plan.
If money is really the issue here, giving a bonus based on their productivity and their work would surely encourage them to work harder in their job.
The way I see this meeting is flowing right now is that we may take it on a financial approach, as mentioned by Ms. Sophie right there. Settling on the idea of taking preferably a positive route, right, Raziq? Mr. Raziq, I'm sorry, which is to reward additional payments in hopes of them being more engaged with their work, to keep them motivated as much as possible instead of putting their attention on something else.
Yeah, I also agree with your statement giving them extra work. And I would like to add on a little bit more about that. As an operational manager, we may not want to see the employees use company facilities for their personal work. But nowadays, we see a lot of unethical employees misusing the company facility for their own personal usage during working hours. This is not only could lead to the company's possible recession, but will also put the company at stake if the news about this ever reaches to the outside world, to the media. The employee should be more focused on the company-related tasks and feel more responsible towards a job. Just as Miss Sophie mentioned previously, the best thing we can do is to give them more company work so they won't have any more time to do their personal work. Thus, the productivity in the company will automatically increase this, and this is the how ethical employees should actually behave in our company.
See what you're trying to say. Does anyone have any objections on that?
No.
Anyone? Okay, if there are no objections, we'll move forward with that idea. So far, so good. Now let's move on. Another problem we need to highlight is about how these perpetrators are using company facilities for personal use as well. I would like to call upon Ms. Anis, our Facilities and Maintenance Manager. What's your take on this?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Minsuraya. Actually, for my part, if it's possible, I would like to establish a printing usage monitoring system. Okay, I know this sounds weird, but I have been doing statistics on the average usage of a printer in each department, and the results are one department uses about 100 printings a day. So if any of the printers of a certain department increase, like for example, suddenly in one day they use 300 printings or like 400, then we would know that there's something wrong, and we would know that the culprit is in that department. So I would like to ask for the IT department's cooperation to help detect the exact IP address of the culprit. This would make it very easy for us to find the particular employee that is misusing the printers and the computers.
Good idea. I agree. I agree with the idea of you being the facilities and maintenance manager, collaborating with the IT manager. It's better if different departments could work together to tackle this issue.
And also, I've been thinking, in order to ensure there's no misuse of facilities happening anymore, I would like to cut off the power to the printer and computers during break time and lunchtime for the whole organization. But employees are still able to use them if they want, but they have to make a special request from their management. So like this way, we are also monitoring the employees and like we're saving power consumption at the same time.
To add on the monitoring idea, right? What if we add another monitoring system, a system that monitors the employees in and out of the office? This way, I think we can detect which employee goes out of the office too frequently, and who knows, we'll be able to find out the reasons behind it also, whether it is for an office business or personal matter.
It's a very good idea. Thank you for the suggestion, Ms. Sophie.
Since everyone has given their own suggestion, I guess it's now my turn. How about if my team and I will upgrade our security system by blocking some of the website to limit the usage of our facilities? Plus, we will also increase our security system by monitoring each and everyone daily activities to keep them focused on their work.
Yeah, I agree with you that Mr. Salam. These employees use certain website to do their business like Lazada, like Shopee. But if you put a restriction on those sites, it will significantly reduce the chances of them slacking off.
Good job, leaders. Those were very, very practical suggestions. Now, focusing on the issue of misusing company facilities for personal use, let me just list down on what we just obtained. We are to establish a printing monitoring system, control the availability of facilities at a timely manner, taking note of any sort of abnormalities of our staff clocking in and clocking out, set up site blocking, and to keep watch of our staff's desktops if possible.
Yeah, I like those ideas. I think that the suggestions that have been presented today are very compelling. I really like the ideas from Ms. Sophie, Mr. Farhan, Mr. Salam, and Ms. Anis, even you, the chairman, Ms. Minsuraya. However, there's still one thing to remember. When we do confront the perpetrators, right? They are still our employees. Maybe you can try to end your meeting on a positive note. Instead of just telling them what they did wrong, we should also give constructive criticism on how they can improve in the future. Like my parents always say that progressive discipline and encouragement are always good to keep the morale of our employees up. We, all of us, as leaders and heads of our own departments, should lead by example. I trust all of you, all five of you, to be a good role model to your underlings and show them how we do business here in this company.
Actually, Mr. Raziq has a really good point there. We have to always bear that in mind, everybody. As a considerate human being, awareness of our employees' emotional well-being is never a matter to be neglected. Okay. Now let's just summarize one last time on what we're settled with to battle the issue of, let me repeat, our employees doing side businesses, of them using company facilities for their own use, also them having the audacity to meet their customers during office hours. Okay, number one, we shall run investigations to catch, then do private meetings with the culprits. Second, rewarding them additional remunerations would boost the employees' drive in improving their job performance. Last but certainly not least, setting up site blocking, setting up a new security system to monitor desktops and other electronic facilities, as well as detecting irregularities in employees clocking in as well as clocking out are to be our new rules and regulations as soon as this meeting ends. All right, is everyone clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If any of you were to object any of the following agreements, please do say now. Everyone agree on what we're settled with? All right, excellent. We have covered, I think we've covered everything in our agenda. We can end the meeting right here. Thank you everyone for your contributions. That concludes the end of our meeting. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.